Hey, good morning. Today we're reading from Matthew chapter 13, and we found out in the previous chapters that Jesus is encountering lots of questions and even some hostile reactions from the people that are listening to him. He's claiming to be king, or another word for that is Messiah, and some of the people are balking at that, and especially the religious elite for whom Jesus does not fit their pattern of what they are looking for in a Messiah. And then he threatens to take away their power too. John the Baptist even asked, Jesus, are you the one? And Jesus, of course, says, yes, I am. And of course, his own family is even questioning him some too. So in this chapter, Jesus is telling his disciples, and he's telling us a little bit more about what it means to be in his kingdom. And he tells them many parables or stories about this in this particular chapter. And in this very first parable, which is the longest one, he answers the question, why don't people listen? Why don't people respond positively to the good news of God's love? And so Jesus begins the parable with this in verse 3. He says, listen, a farmer went out to plant some seeds. Now, I would just encourage you to read the whole parable and even the explanation all the way up through verse 23. But Jesus tells us that there are 4 different kinds of soil. And for these agriculturally minded people, this would have been something they would have understood. And I think it transfers to us very, very easily too today. First of all, the seed would fall on the hard soil, which is like a footpath or something like that. This is closed, and somehow these are people that really don't want to hear the message. It's too threatening, or they feel very sufficient in their own self. A second kind of soil is the shallow soil, and when troubles come, rather than stick it out and persevere and grow, they bail. They bail on it. And the third kind of seed is thorny soil. And of course, there's many cares, many things that choke out our faith sometimes, and the distractions and the enticements of this world. And finally, there's the final soil, the good soil. And that's the soil that accepts the seed and grows the seed and yields 100-fold in its crop. Now, interestingly enough, so far in Matthew, the people who are the good soil seem to be the least likely people. It's not the religious elite that we've talked about before, or those who are the proudest or the most self-sufficient. It's the simple and authentic people, the humble people, like fishermen, or even people who are very sure that they don't deserve God's love, but they want to get right with God nevertheless. And those are represented by tax collectors and prostitutes. And even his own disciples, they seem to just keep getting it wrong. But Jesus continues to invest his life in them, and he perseveres with them, and they stay with him too. So here's my takeaways for this particular parable. The first one is the sower, who is God, is the one who is planting his seed, which is his word. And he scatters the seed. Well, it seems like he scatters it everywhere. And now, if you were a farmer in this day with limited resources and limited seed, you might think that this guy is rather reckless or careless or even wasteful, but not God. God's got plenty of seed. He's scattering his seed. He's sowing his love everywhere. And the second takeaway is, I certainly want to be the good soil, but I am so thankful for our God, or our sower, who seems to be sowing generously and extravagantly, even in the least promising places. And sometimes I'm those other kind of soils, and God still is throwing seed that way. As Jesus followers, when we have the opportunity then to live out our faith, to sow some seed, may we show his love and sow his love extravagantly in the world, because you never know where it's going to find good soil. In the least likely places we find, because remember, there's just no limit on God's love. Have an amazing day.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, Subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.